We rolling, man. It's a good time to be in LA. Love it here. Love it here. How's everybody doing today? It's your boy G alongside Alec Foster. Another episode, Section 300. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As you can see, we have a special guest with us today, Jake Gould of the Good As Gould Show. He has on YouTube and a great friend of the show that we've been talking with online for some time. A pleasure to have you on, Jake. How you doing today, man?
Man, I mean, I don't know if I could be doing any better than, the Rams doing right now, but I'm just glad to finally be up in the studio with you guys virtually, just talking sports, man. It's nothing better right now. It's a really great time to be just, taking all this stuff in. So
absolutely. And we got a whole bunch to talk about. Alec, we were very hyped about that, the last playoffs things that are going on and see how it's all unfolded. We got some things to discuss. Your boy Mahomes, we gonna get to it right now. We're gonna get to it right now. And let's just jump straight into it. So me and Jake, as you guys can see, and let's jump into the close view here. Me and Jake both got our LA hats on, happy about our LA squads that are doing good, or at least one of them in regards to the Rams.
This one maybe not so much,
That one we'll get to them later. But for the game we're talking about, the Rams had a great victory versus the Niners this last weekend in the conference championship, and very happy that they got that W. People were up in the air, and me and Alec and our boy Matt, who was on last episode, talked about how the Rams had won the last 6 matchups, and they might just be one of them teams the Niners won the last 6 matchups, and they may just be our poison, and it may just be what it is. But the Rams found a way to turn it around and get a W, as I'd hope they would. I don't have to watch Jimmy G in the Super Bowl, thank God. And I'm just very happy about the Rams getting this W. So, Alec, I'll go to you first. How you feel about the Rams getting that W last weekend?
I pulled up my the towel they gave us.
You was there. Yeah, talk about that. Yeah. Let me hear about that.
Man,
Jake was there too. I was gonna say, you a big baller? You look like you had some pretty nice seats there.
My uncle, man, he's just like, he's a big time Niner fan, and he's like, we're going to the game, and I'm like, man, I was ready to watch it at the bar.
But it was dope to be on scene at the game. That was actually my first NFL game I've ever been to. I've been to plenty of college games, but nothing better than going to an NFC title game as my first NFL game. The atmosphere was raucous. There was tons of 49ers fans, as was expected, but the Rams faithful also showed out. But watching that game, we can dive more into it as far as the X's and O's standpoint. But just the energy in the environment was really dope. What about you, Jake?
Yeah, I'd have to second that, man. It was truly, like, I thought, a Super Bowl atmosphere. I've never been to a Super Bowl before, but like, you could see that when it's more of like a Super Bowl or something like that, it's a neutral thing. And then obviously you want, as a Rams organization, you hope for one day to be able to have like an 85%. But that's hopeful, because, I mean, if we're being realistic, man, the NFL's biggest period of growth was during that time in which Red Zone took over, in which people were playing Madden, in which, here in Los Angeles, which is, an extent Southern California, right? We were getting the 2 best games of the day on CBS and Fox. So it didn't matter. We weren't stuck with a team that was 3-13 having to watch them. We were getting the best of the best games. So never has it been easier to be a fan of a team that's out of market, to just pick your team by going, I like these uniforms. I play Madden. This guy's pretty dope. So that happens, right? Over the course of time, our generation, a lot of us were like picking other teams and stuff. But, now here come the Rams. You're competing against the San Francisco 49ers team that's got 5 Super Bowls to your organization. And that's what's going to happen, man. They are a California team. So, I mean, I don't know who's shocked at this point, but I mean, with the success that the Rams have been having and the aggressiveness of the front office, I mean, it very much resembles a Jerry Buss Lakers or a Dodgers ownership group, where you can really go, dang, I can get behind this. And you're winning over young kids by the day. Just the thing is now, like, as we see, these season tickets are expensive. You got to pay for not just the ticket, but the license itself. And, the kids they're winning over, they're doing chores and getting money for chores, but that's not enough for these season tickets yet. So that'll come with time. But in the meantime, just from the X's and O's perspective, to face a team 3 times in a year, I mean, there's not much new that you're going to be able to do. So it, I think, comes down to getting the most out of your star players. And I mean, Garrett, obviously you're not a Jimmy guy, and you were proven to be right for that because, you know, he didn't necessarily take them over the top. I mean, I don't think he lost in the game. I actually think when he got pushed out of the pocket and flipped that pass, like he's trying to make something happen, man. It's third. That was like third down. So, but it was an indictment. The fact that the Niners kept on trying to run the football against a Rams front that was bottling it up the whole game and had answers for it, blitzing through the gaps. It was an indictment on the fact that they didn't really trust Jimmy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that was something that they had believed pretty much all season. It seemed, and it showed on the grand stage in that last moment. And before we get more to the X's and O's, I just wanted to go back to something you said early on, just about the Rams sleeping on themselves in LA. You talked about how there were many people that watching Red Zone and all that. I was one of those kids. I grew up and fell in love with the Ravens, and they're my AFC squad, and they're my squad. On the NFC side, definitely got the Rams and love what they're doing here at home. So definitely love how they're solidifying themselves out here. And I think a Super Bowl win, which we'll get more into in a second, will definitely help bring a whole grand fan base that they have there. So looking forward to what they do next. But also with that, just wanted to say that to the point about star power and the Jerry Buss mentality and all of that, bringing in guys like Odell and Von Miller definitely help solidify that fan base, and also have helped this team just in general as well. They've been big pieces that I'm very glad to have on our squad right now. So love those additions.
Yeah. I mean, go ahead. I mean, I didn't mean to cut you off. Go ahead.
You can touch on that because I was going to talk about the game more. So.
Oh yeah. So what I wanted to add to that too is, like, I mean, it's a whole different style of roster building than we're really used to. Like we've seen teams strike out doing similar things before. Like I remember Vince Young went on record to say the Eagles were the dream team that one year where they brought in all those free agents, right? But people were like, you know, the Rams are mortgaging their future for these stars to win now. And it's like, well, it's a very critical point in their franchise's history. Like you really got to like say, hey, we came here. We're not just, you know, coming from the Midwest to make money. Of course they're trying to do that, but we want to show you why we're here for the long haul and why you, the fans, should care about us. The thing that is lost in a lot of that with their star power, win now, mortgage the future, whatever you want to call it, they're developing guys like Kendall Blanton, undrafted free agent tight end who came in and filled in nicely for Tyler Higbee, was blocking Nick Bosa. You had guys like, you know, David Long Jr. is a local kid, third round pick, you know, started off, you know, rocky early in the season, starting to figure it back out again. I mean, you're seeing guys who are slipping through the cracks. Greg Gaines, a defensive tackle, just being around Aaron Donald, right? Like you're just going to pick up on some things. So like if you decide to say, hey, we're not a fan of first round picks, we'd rather trade those since we're going to be a team that's in the playoffs where it's a 20s and up kind of first round pick. Like we'd rather go get a guy who's proven right now. Okay, go do that. But then make sure you nail those late round picks and those undrafted free agents. And that seems to be something the Rams are doing pretty well.
Absolutely. And real quick, and Alec, I'll let you jump in a second, but on topic of local products, it was beautiful to see the embrace that the team had for Sarah and the USC product, Robert Woods, after the game. They showed him a lot of love and definitely have not left him behind as they've gone on this run. He's still clearly a vital part of that squad, even though he's sidelined with the ACL tear he sustained right before Odell got here, ironically. So I'm glad that they're all showing him love still. And love what this whole team is doing right now. So Alec, any further thoughts on them?
No. I mean, it was nice to see the Robert Woods get shown some love. Cooper Kupp was singing his praises as well too, saying they wouldn't have got to this point without him.
Exactly.
And it just so happened that Odell was the perfect replacement. As soon as he went down, we had just signed Odell, and he stepped in and gave this Rams team a much needed boost and filled that hole nicely. But I wanted to circle back to something that Jake said about Jimmy G. And the Rams kind of showing that they were not fully, I guess, committed to him as a quarterback and going with the run. Because I felt like from watching the game, being at the game, from that point of view, it stood out to me that the 49ers kind of let this game get away. Like I thought they really had it like in their control. I was sitting next to my dad, and when they threw that touchdown to George Kittle, I was like, this is not looking good. Like they took like the 10-point lead.
I think you texted me and said Jimmy looks good right now too.
Yeah,
something like
Jimmy
that.
was looking really good actually.
Yeah.
And then the one drive that really stands out in my brain is like, I think they still had a 3-point lead. The Rams had just scored that second touchdown to Cup.
Mm-hmm.
And the 49ers were actually getting a good drive going. Like they were moving the chains a couple times. They had a nice like 25-yard gain to Elijah Mitchell. And then they got to like about around midfield and they started like trying to run the ball. And like I didn't understand, like it was a 3rd and 2, and they tried to run it up the middle with Kyle Juszczyk, I think.
Yeah, they ran that trap play. They ran a fake toss trap. They motioned Trent Williams. They thought the Rams would fall for that same play that they ran against Green Bay, where they motioned Trent Williams and ran the toss or the outside stretch with a behemoth going full speed.
That's a scary look right there.
But then the gap integrity from the backside to stuff that fullback trap play, man, that was pretty special.
Yeah, and the Rams defense came up huge there. But I felt like that was the turning point because they had momentum. They had the lead in that fourth quarter. And when they got that stuffed at midfield, it was like the Rams kind of built up some confidence in that defense because they weren't getting pressure on Jimmy G like for the first 3 quarters. Like, they didn't have a sack the entire game, but in the fourth quarter, they started getting to him. And that was like the difference to me because I was like, this is a Rams defense, D-line, and linebacker core that prides themselves on getting to the quarterback and making them uncomfortable. And Jimmy G, for a lot of the game, he was making the throws. Like, they were converting on 3rd downs, and I was like, this is not looking good. But once the defense kind of rallied, I think when I got home, I saw some highlights of Aaron Donald like trying to rally the troops like on the sideline. It appeared to work because the defense kind of stepped up in the fourth and started getting more pressure on him. But yeah, I felt like the 49ers kind of gave this one up because it looked like they had a stranglehold on the game.
Gotcha. So with that being the case, how does that translate to the Super Bowl? Do you think we may give it up to the Bengals who show they could be comeback kids? What do you think about that? I know we're still weeks away, but just a little preview. What you think about that matchup?
The thing is, it's interesting because the Cincinnati O-line is so terrible. Like, I would be worried if I'm the Cincinnati offensive coordinator, just how that Rams front like can get after the quarterback. I think they can take a little bit from the 49ers playbook as far as getting the ball out quickly out of Burrow's hands. And I think he tried to do that against the Chiefs, and they found some success in the second half. Or even that 40-yard touchdown to Samaje Perine, where they kind of got it out quickly in the flat on that screen, and he took it to the house. I think they're going to have to drop a lot of plays like that because I don't think he's going to have a whole lot of time in the pocket. So yeah, I would say that I'm heavy leaning towards the Rams in this one, but we just saw the Bengals beat the Chiefs, so I thought were one of the most offensively high-powered teams, if not
anything is possible. Jake, what do you think about the Bengals right now?
Man, I think people have been counting them out. I mean, look, I went into this season assessing the AFC North. I loved what I saw from Joe Burrow. I really did. I thought, man, this guy was really good.
Right.
He tore his ACL mid-season. I'm thinking, okay, the Bengals didn't get much better on the offensive line. I liked Jamar Chase. I really did. But I thought that was a luxury pick, and it didn't feel like something that really addressed the need since you had a Higgins already, and the offense didn't like. It didn't seem to be a problem. Burrow was throwing the ball. It was, hey, can we keep our quarterback safe? And like they've clearly defied the odds. I didn't think that going into that year that we've just had, where you had 3 teams from the AFC North that were playoff teams, that the Cincinnati Bengals would be anything above 6 wins. So they've defied the odds at every single step. So it leads me to go, well, as much as I go, look on it, like on paper, I look at most of the edges. It seems check Rams. This Joe Burrow guy, man, he's kind of got it. He's got it. Whatever you want to call it. Everyone has to struggle to call it, define what that even means. But Joe seems like he's got that. And if they can get, Mixon even just a little bit more involved, and then, maybe take a look at some of the things that the Rams did in the Super Bowl. That the Patriots did in the Super Bowl against the Rams, where you got Brady getting rid of the ball quick, right? You negate that pass rush, and it's anybody's game. But I do favor the Rams.
I know it's still early, and we're all still evaluating. But how big of a factor do you think CJ Uzomah's injury may be on the game? I saw he went out. I think that was halfway through, I believe it was.
Yeah, I think that is big. I mean, they were still able to win the game against the Chiefs without him. Right. I think Drew Sample, I believe, is the backup tight end who stepped in. So probably not as good of a pass catcher, but I think if they can use him in the blocking game, that'll be crucial. I'm not sure if Uzomah will be good by the Super Bowl. I don't think so. But the Rams also have Higbee, who is questionable for the Super Bowl as well.
Right.
And as Jake pointed out, Blanton has stepped up in his absence nicely. So I don't think that'll play too much of a factor, but on the same token, we talked about the Rams pass rush. Like, they're going to need good blocking for Joe Burrow. So maybe it does.
Yeah, I'd be scheming up personally if I was Cincinnati. I'd be scheming up a lot of tight end situations where I'm chipping in the defensive end, because you got Vaughn on one side, you got Leonard Floyd on the other, you got Donald kind of moving around, as a 3 tech, 4 tech, just kind of just causing all the havoc. And then you're playing pretty much getting a base defense where you're rushing forward, and having Jalen Ramsey hold it down in whatever spot in that star role. He's been pretty solid, but on the Rams side of things, it goes, well, this kid Jamar Chase is solid. Like, do we switch up what we're doing and then have him shadow Jamar? Well, I mean, I think you just stick with what you're doing at this point, and then just try to find ways to, because I mean, teams can scheme their way around a corner just locking up one receiver and still win the game. Like, Revis was a lockdown corner, and how often did that lead to wins? It just led to receivers not putting up some stuff. If you could win the game running the ball, or Joe Burrow can get the ball out to T. Higgins.
Yeah, I was saying, Joe Burrow has shown that he's not afraid to spread the ball around. Like, he's not someone that only targets Jamar Chase because it's his number one. Like, he has a good rapport with Boyd. He can find Higgins. He'll find guys out of the backfield. Uzomah was the leading receiver in that first game against the Raiders as well too. So he has no problem spreading the ball around. So I wouldn't scheme as far as having Ramsey just follow Chase around, because I think the Bengals too also could maybe take a little bit out of the 49ers playbook as far as using Chase in the Debo role a little bit, because Debo once again found success against the Rams too. So I think maybe using Jamar Chase a little bit out of the backfield as well, just getting as many touches for him as they can, because he's that dynamic of a player.
Yeah, one thing I will add too, it's been a trend that I've noticed from watching some tape from the NFL teams. You're seeing guys like Kupp, they'll start off in the backfield, or even when Woods was healthy, they put him in the backfield. And why? Because if you get teams playing some man, it's a matchup of that guy versus a linebacker. And Jamar Chase is already a matchup nightmare for cornerback.
Exactly.
You put him against Troy Reader, I'm sorry, it's not going to go pretty well. So if you just even put him in the backfield, and have him run some option routes, or a seam, with 2 receivers on the, you could really do some things. And Zach Taylor, he's got the familiarity of the Rams scheme from being with the team. So there is familiarity with both these guys and what they do. So it'll be a chess match.
I know there were already versatile guys before him, but Debo, I think, called himself a wide back this year. He called it as his position. And there's a few guys, as you guys are pointing out, that are following that same trend. So we'll see if the Bengals follow suit as well and start expanding the offense even more with Jamar and his potential there. So, yeah, definitely excited for the Super Bowl. Early picks, just real quick. Rams, of course. Alec, you got Rams also?
I don't know. I don't know if I can make a pick yet, man.
Okay, all right, fine. Jake, you being in the Rams right now?
Give me till next episode.
I would, things change over time, but I mean, I don't, barring some knock on wood, crazy injuries that happen, we're still in a, still got COVID-19 out there. I don't know what, things can happen. Yeah. So, I mean, I would say I would favor the Rams to win this by 6 points.
Yeah, understood.
You had the Rams winning from the start of the season too.
I did, and I had them going 12-5. I had them going 12-5 as well. But I will say, in fairness to that, I had the Bengals winning 4 games. So
Most folks did. So ignore that part. Most folks had that wrong. They proved everybody wrong. But to the Rams point, real quick, as you circle back to them and the impact on LA, I think it's also just a great setup just for them, as we already kind of alluded to. But having the home field advantage, also having the Super Bowl, had them with all the LA folks, I think it's just a great setup. I know we can talk X and O's, but just from a further back view, a Section 300 view, looking down on it, I think having that setup is it's all laid out for the Rams just to put on a great show. So I definitely hope they do. I'm just excited for it all.
One more point. We didn't talk about Matthew Stafford. I thought he kind of escaped that one. Like, he played an overall good field game, but he escaped a 2-interception game where that second interception could have been crucial too. That went through, I think, Tark's.
Oh, yeah, that was. And at that point too, the Rams had also burned all their timeouts, which I think was McVay's. It's been his Achilles heel. He's kind of from the Mike McCarthy school of bad clock management. We're like, hey, dude, you don't need to challenge. Or I mean, that might be also on whoever's up in the booth with him. We're like, dude, we don't have to throw this challenge flag here. Like, let's not have at the 10-minute mark no timeouts in the fourth quarter, chasing a team that can run the ball well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I was like, that dropped interception, like, it looked bad, like, from the stadium, but when I got home and saw the replay, I was like, oh my God, like, he had it right in the bread basket. He just completely
that was in the basket for sure. But I mean, credit to Stafford, man. There were some throws, like, he was getting rid of the ball with, him and Kupp and now OBJ. Like, it's come a long way since that Monday night game where Stafford was throwing the ball to where he thought OBJ was going to be against the Niners, and he had stopped it out. And now we're at the point where, like, against Tampa Bay, like, there was a point where it was like a hybrid man zone defense, and then OBJ had a guy following him, so he kept running instead of settling down underneath, and he turned it into a first down against Tampa Bay. And then with Kupp, Stafford and Kupp, there's times where it's like almost like Montana and Rice, where Montana was getting rid of that football. Kupp's not even out of the 1-2 of his his option route or his out-breaking route, and that ball he turns around, it's right there.
Right,
money.
Hard to
got
defend.
Telepathy. They got a connection there for sure. Sure. Yeah, and he had a dropped touchdown as well. I forget the receiver's name. Number 18.
Yeah, Benny Skoranek.
Yeah. So that could have been a touchdown as well. So maybe it kind of makes up for that. the drop.
Cancel it out. So hey, Matt he did the best that he could, and definitely appreciate his efforts, and I love what the team's put together. So hope they can keep that rolling, as we all have said, in the Super Bowl. So looking forward to that. And then lastly, with all these current things going on, we have to address Alec and your Chiefs, man. We haven't touched Patrick Mahomes. We didn't talk about him.
First off, we can't call them my Chiefs.
You picked them the last couple of years now, so I'm giving them to you.
No loyalty to Kansas City.
You keep picking them, so
I'm a big Mahomes guy, though, and I don't think I was wrong to pick them either. But the chips fell where they may. I mean, Mahomes, a crucial interception in overtime. Almost lost it before then too, in regulation with the fumble right before the field goal.
Right.
And then that play, obviously, right before halftime, which was a huge stop. On the goal line where they could have went for the field goal. I actually liked the decision to go for it, but it should have been a play into the end zone. Just dumping it off into the flat right there. I get that Tyreek has all-world speed, but
Eli Apple don't.
Got like 5 seconds left.
I know Twitter was hating, but Eli Apple made plays, man.
A lot of enemies.
He's still tweeting too.
Still getting his stuff off.
He made the stop. He made a crucial stop in the game, so you give him that. But he was getting burnt as well. So
we'll see what he's got his his matchups are going to be tough, but I mean Mike Hilton in the slot, that's a guy who's going to be a good matchup too with him versus Cooper Kupp, who's primarily a slot guy.
Yeah. Got you. So just wanted to poke at that real quick because I know Alec was championing Mahomes for a little while. He's off the boat now, but
it looked like it was going to be like a 30-point win for a second.
Can I tell a story? When it was 21-3, I left. I had to go and do some other things, so I got up. I was like, it's 21-3. I think I tweeted it out. I'm like, oh, the game's over. I'm gone. Yeah. I got up and left. Came back and it was tied up. I was like, what just happened?
Yeah, I missed the second half because I was going to the Rams game, so
got you.
I didn't get to see the second half at all. But I was shocked. Like, the Chiefs' offense completely shut down in the second half. Like, I don't know what happened.
I think that's one of the problems with the Chiefs is I thought Jet McKinnon, I thought he was starting to come along. But where they struggle is, they get out ahead of you real quick, but they aren't as much of a ball control. We're going to grind the clock out, running the football type of team. So like that has kind of been their Achilles heel, like where you could always say, hey, the Chiefs are never out of this, but they have never wrapped this up either. Because like they got a fast break offense. Like, oh, you think it's over? Mahomes takes you down the field real quick. Like they push the pace, but at the same time, they're not like to bring it back to basketball, like they're not running
a good half-court offense. What you're saying?
Yeah, no, the half-court offense. You're like, what are you doing? It's still a lot of backyard football, which is why I think Mahomes is actually going to end up having a great career, is because this guy's only going to get better. He's locked up in Kansas City. I don't know how long Andy Reid stays with them, but one of the things I actually feel like is I do believe that there is a chance for when Andy Reid is no longer coaching, that they could just stay within house. I think Eric Bieniemy could be just the kind of guy that like, hey, take over the Chiefs, keep the thing going. Which I would like to see for him. But I think Mahomes continues to just figure out like X's and O's. I think he was on the shop with LeBron, and he was like, man, first couple of years I was just like, man, I don't even know what this play is. I'm just throwing the ball and just having fun in the backyard. So like a bright future for them, even though despite the loss. I mean, this is that the AFC. It's the Lamar Hunt Trophy for a reason right now. I would say goes through the Chiefs still.
I hear that loud and clear. So yeah, we'll see. It's a very bright future ahead for all of them. And on the topic, we've talked about Burrow and Stafford and now Mahomes. The future of the QB position still is very bright. I know Matt Stafford's later on in his career, but there's a lot of great quarterbacks still in the league, and we just lost now the second one, and the greatest one that we may have seen this offseason. Big Ben retired early on this year or a few weeks ago, and now Tom Brady, who most consider the GOAT of the sport, has walked away as well. And I mean, I grew up anti-Brady, so it was a glorious day for me. I was a little nervous at first because it was, he's retired, and maybe he's not retired. I'm like, dang, did he do us again? I wasn't sure, but it was finally confirmed. He said he's walking away, and it was a great from afar. I can still give my respect. It was a great 22 years that he gave us, and it's gonna be interesting to see what's next. You guys, Alec, you first. What do you think about Brady and his retirement?
Yeah. Adam Schefter was vindicated because it looked like he jumped the gun for a second. But
can I say something real quick? I'm sorry, but sorry. I'll go back to you. But I think it was 2 years ago. I talked to you, Alec, about the possibility of Tom Brady announced a Super Bowl commercial, and I thought he was going to retire, but it was actually just like some ads and something like that. Just on the idea of, while I may have my Brady hate, whatever, I do think that Brady deserved his own announcement for his retirement. I think even though Schefter may have heard it first, and that's his job to give out the information, and he did it, I think there are certain guys that deserve their own send-off. And Schefter, while he was right for he did his job, I think he should have allowed Brady to have his moment. And I think maybe Brady did actually want that, but had to adjust. That's why he gave out the notes post that he gave, and it went down the way that it did. So I do think that was interesting to see how it all unfolded. But you can go back to how you feel about it all. I
don't think it's necessarily wrong what Adam Schefter did, but I do agree, like, someone with that type of legacy and will probably go down as the GOAT. I think he does deserve to like have his moment announcing it himself.
Right.
But I think for me, I was kind of like you, like growing up, where hated Brady, but it was more so like Brady and the Patriots as a whole, like the dynasty and the duo of him and Belichick, and them getting away with cheating, like recording people's practices and that kind of thing. And then them still winning and not really suffering much consequence. But I think my Brady hate kind of left. Like when he went to Tampa Bay, like I was fine with him, really. I think like you just got to acknowledge the greatness. Like he's 44 or something now, and he was still putting up MVP numbers in a new team. Granted, he had incredible weapons there in Tampa Bay, but still, like his arm never really like fell off completely. Like,
hey, you want to push the Brady was ring chasing narrative? I'll push it if you want to push it. Was ring chasing? I'll push the narrative if you want to. I don't mind.
That's fine. I mean, like, well within his right to ring chase for sure. I mean, pad those stats as much as you can. Like, put the Super Bowl ring record out of reach for anyone else. I mean, 7 is incredible.
Right.
And I don't know if it will be like Patrick Mahomes is the only guy right now who I could see maybe getting a shot at it. But even still, like 7 feels like insurmountable for anyone to achieve.
Yeah, I would say 7 feels insurmountable to me for a couple of reasons. I mean, one, we're now with the 17 playoff, we are now at an era where only one team gets a first round bye.
Yeah.
So gone are the days where it's the top 2 seeds getting a first round bye. And that was Brady for a while I mean, if we deconstruct, we could push our own agendas if we wanted to, but again, if we really want to be real with ourselves here, like, the Jets were really bad. The Dolphins were really bad. The Bills were not very good. So
and his defense was always very good.
His defense was always very good. And he had a supermodel wife that allowed him to take pay cuts to assemble a stacked team. I love this right now. Listen, do not take that as any sort of slander. We're just providing some context. And so just context. So when we unpack all those things, like, it's easier to go, okay, they get a home playoff game and then they're in the AFC Championship and you win that. I mean, you got to be great to win those games, not taking anything away again. But we're now in an era where it's okay, you got a 17-game season, soon to be 18 once they realize the money is right. As much as the NFLPA is going to be like, I know.
Keep increasing it by one game.
The money's going to talk. They're going to probably end up with 2 bye weeks, and this thing's going to be crazy. And then now the days of $500 million quarterback is going to actually look like a discount. Like especially with Amazon, being at the table too with negotiating leverage.
Yeah, heard about that. Yeah.
So like that's all changing. So like it really does make the idea of winning 7 Super Bowls sound ridiculous.
Yeah.
So,
first, you got to get to 7 Super Bowls. Too.
You got to get to 7.
That alone is the hard part.
Then win them.
And just look at the AFC right now too. Like if we want to talk about Mahomes having the greatest chance, you got Herbert, who's only going to get better.
Right.
We still got. Don't forget about Lamar. I mean, this guy was hurt. Like
we don't.
No, I know you know. Don't forget about Lamar. I mean, you got Burrow. I mean, it's a gauntlet. It's a murderer's row right now.
Yeah.
We do a ranking sometimes, and last week we had Joe Burrow as the 4th best quarter. Was it? Yeah, the 4th best quarterback.
Yeah.
3rd or 4th best quarterback in the AFC. Is that solidified now with him making the Super Bowl? Because that was the scenario I talked about, Alec, with him possibly getting past Mahomes. Just to share my list again, mine was Mahomes, Lamar, Allen, Burrow, and then Herbert, with Deshaun as the potential 6th man, if that, whatever.
Yeah. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. But man, it's like I can win with all those guys. I know I can win with all of them. To where I'm ranking them. I'm like, man, would I want the Bugatti? Do I want the Lambo? Do I want take your pick? You're not going to have any issues there. Like I do think all those guys bring a certain skill set that is truly special. I mean, everyone's been chasing the Tom Brady type, right? Like who is the next? They're trying to turn the pocket pass. Like who could be our next? And they've been looking for that pocket passer where you got guys who can run the ball and stuff too. So I mean, Burrow has been a guy he's taken it. He resurrected a team. He's got him in the Super Bowl, and I haven't seen that. I haven't seen that from some of these young quarterbacks also who are phenomenal.
Right.
Like the pieces were in place.
Right.
So I got to give Burrow his respect. I mean, he's already probably to me, I think, top 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, I'll change the question just slightly then. Who do you think potentially could be the next Brady, or who do you think is in line to be the new king of the throne, or head of the throne right now? Sitting on the throne, excuse me, in NFL right now. Is it Mahomes still, even though he's out, or somebody else at the top right now of the quarterbacks?
It's got to be Mahomes for me.
Yeah, I would start with Mahomes, but I will say Kelsey's getting older. Tyreek, speed is one of the last things to go. I mean, you guys are still fast forever. I mean, Deshaun Jackson's still super fast.
Yeah.
But I mean, you got Jamar and Joe who are both so young, and they can build a squad around those guys as long as they don't have to pay.
Right.
True. Yeah.
So like that's the whole idea is like, building a Super Bowl team. Like, oh, we got a Russell Wilson on a rookie contract. Let's make the Legion of Boom, this defense, build them out. We got a team like with Joe and Jamar both getting paid on a rookie scale. All right, we need offensive line, say less. Let's go get a tackle. Like, we need to solidify the D line so we can, allow our secondary to, drop 7. Let's go get a generational pass rusher along with Hendrickson. Like, and then you start to think like, okay, this is a window that's opening versus we saw the flaws of the Chiefs firsthand when, Mahomes, he got his, $500 million contract. He was running for his life against Tampa Bay.
Right.
So I do think the talent to me pops off more Mahomes. Like he can do more things, but I mean, Burrow is well positioned, even in a tough division like the AFC North.
Yeah,
hey, man.
I will say, I think Mahomes, like the Chiefs with small tweaks are still like the team to beat for years to come. Like, because I think, and some people have pointed out, like they're still really missing like a number 2 wide receiver. Like they've kind of made it work with Pringle, Robinson, Hardman, just as fast guys that can kind of run go routes and get open for you. But bringing in a guy like Juju, like a possession receiver as their number 2, or like a guy like Michael Gallup or something like that, I think would do wonders for the Chiefs, who can become, as G has said in the past, can become predictable in certain standpoints as an offense, just going to Tyreek and Kelsey. So I think with a couple like minor tweaks, the Chiefs are still the team to beat for years to come. Like I think this is still a Chiefs.
Hey, listen, man, I hear both you guys, and that's all great. The man himself, Tom Brady, said that Lamar is next. So that's what I'm standing on. Say what you want to say. The GOAT said that Lamar is next.
You were going there.
Next. Say what you want. He's my pick.
Hey, I would say, to echo what you were saying about the Chiefs, man, like the Chiefs, I look at them, like you said, a few tweaks. When is it's almost like you look at the state of the NFL right now, from college and high school, all these guys working year round, wide receivers are just so athletic coming into the year. Like you get polished receivers like a Justin Jefferson, like a Jamar Chase, like coming right into the league, and they're already established as top 10 guys at the very least, Like, there's so many good players, like it's hard to rank those guys too, but they're already like very established. And what I think is going to happen is, we talk all the time about the devaluing of running backs.
Yeah.
Like at a certain point, if there are so many good receivers, like what kind of money are some of these receivers going to go for if you can go out and find another guy in a draft, which is why I feel like if you have a team like Kansas City, you might get a lot of veterans go, hey, I made my money. I got my endorsements. Let me go play with Pat Mahomes and go get this ring.
He could be that guy. So we shall see. But my pick still, it's going to be Lamar till Lamar ain't playing no more. But
they got to help Lamar out. If you want it to be Lamar, they got to help him out.
Yeah, I believe they will. I'm looking forward to how they fix things up there.
I said AB got the Photoshop of him in the jersey.
I don't mind. I don't mind. So whatever, we shall see. Just going on across the rest of the league. Other things that are going on. Brady retired, as we mentioned. Also, just today, Washington the football team are now the Washington Commanders. How y'all feel about the Commanders now having that name?
I think Jake had a tweet about it, so I'll let him respond to that first.
Yeah, man. I feel like, first things first, when people see stuff, it's so much easier to just hate
on it immediately.
Just go hate on anything, right? Like it seemed pretty clear, like the fan favorite was Red Wolves. Like I thought it would have been dope to hear. I'm not a fan of their team, but I thought it would have been dope to be like on third down, you get a stop and you get a whole stadium full of people howling like wolves. That would have been pretty dope.
Right.
And there were some cool designs. There's always fans that come up with some cool designs.
Right.
Commanders, I feel like, it's very vague. It allows for interpretation. There's a lot of people that, take command in DC, yada, yada. I'm not trying to just spew their, their propaganda.
The standpoint.
But like, I think like, people are so resistant to change at first that like, look, if they start winning, I don't think anyone's even going to care.
Sure. Winning usually solves all.
Right.
Yeah. You can go for it.
Oh, yeah. I was going to say, I don't mind the name. I think I have a bigger issue with them changing the jerseys. Like they should. They slightly did. From what I saw, like they had a new white, and like they used their original colors were the burgundy and gold. And look at they had like one white jersey with a different color. Maybe I would have saw. I don't know. But I didn't really exactly like the new jerseys that they came up with. One of them kind of looked very Steelerish to me. Me, Raven guy, I wasn't feeling that at all. But
right.
Yeah, it was more so just about the whole look of it all rather than just the name. I think if they had some real dope jerseys and all that came with it, a full project that really would have invited a new era of folks that just love the look. I think that would went a long way. But for now, I mean, at least for me, I'm not even trying to be a fan either. But I guess my eyes don't matter too much. But yeah, this jerseys caught my attention more than the name. Yeah, what did you guys think of the full branding of their channel?
For me, like the name Commanders is a little bit weak to me. Like it sounds like a high school football team.
It's a little XFL-ish, respectfully.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's like XFL-ish for sure. But I think same with like the Washington football team. Like that sounds more normal to me now than it did a year or two ago. I feel like in a year or two, like it probably like will just be like normal for us to call them the Commanders. Like we won't really care that much. So it probably won't make that much of a difference. You're still going to get the people that want them to be the Redskins still, but that's a whole different.
Get over that one.
But yeah, I think from a branding standpoint, I'm interested, I guess, to see what they do with the Commanders name, because I feel like Jake mentioned, like Red Wolves, there was definitely some opportunities there they could have used. But with Commanders, I don't know what way they go, like branding wise, and what the mascot looks like and that kind of thing.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, they got the Chiefs. The Chiefs mascot's like a wolf, you know. So like I think they kind of just they really wanted to like say, hey, we are Washington's team, you know, like we are the DMV area, you know, not necessarily Baltimore, but like, you know, like in Washington, a great, you know, DC, like they wanted to kind of lean into what they did. I feel like Cleveland did the same thing when they went with the Guardians, you know, like that's like a theme of their city. You got the bridges in Cleveland, like they're like they got the guardians of the city. So like they wanted to do something that was like, you know, leans into that. And like I don't think there's a ton of red wolves in, you know, the District of Columbia. So like maybe that was their thought process. But the whole I did read into it, and it sounded like red wolves was not an option because of a copyright issue. And then this was all to me on Snyder, because you knew that at some point you were going to have to make a change, and smart business people everywhere were going, let me just put a domain. I'm going to buy this domain. I'm going to trademark, copyright all this, to where when they have to change their name, which is going to come, it's going to have to come through me. And they couldn't ultimately get that cleared. So what we're dealing with now is, you know, a Washington organization that if we're going to be nice about it, let's just say they're not really doing a great job.
No.
So a lot of things are fixed there. Yeah, a lot of things are fixed there. So yeah, we shall see how they embrace that change there. So yeah, good things going on across the league. Some other tough stuff going on across the league as well. That actually we'll save for another time, because I kind of want to let things further unfold before we talk about it. So in regards to stuff with Brian Flores and all that going on, Alec, me and you will have a discussion about that. Another point. We had a talk with Hugh Jackson 2 years ago about the Rooney Rule and all of that, and he should share some nice things that we'll share on social media, things for you guys to check out again. And yeah, we'll get back to that. But for now, we'll let that continue to play out. Definitely interested on how all of that unfolds. But on to last things in NFL. NFL/college, actually. A guy that is on the Chiefs right now, as we talked about, but maybe a future Raven, as I've seen him tweeting to a lot of our guys. Tyrann Mathieu tweeted out the other day that he's not a big fan of the transfer portal. And that caught my attention, because I feel like while I understood his point, he's at LSU. And that's a great spot there. And he is one of those guys, even as recent as he was there, he's one of them old school guys that embraced the grind there. And that was his part of his narrative, just about how being behind the folks that were there pushed him to greatness. I do think that the transfer portal has opened up a lot of opportunities for a lot of other players. So I just wanted to get you guys' opinion. Are you guys for or against the transfer portal in college right now? Yeah, Jake, you want to start there?
I'll let Jake take this one because I saw you had a tweet about this as well too with Lincoln.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So like for me, this is how I feel about the transfer portal. Like I got a cousin, who plays college football. I mean, I obviously had friends that play college football.
Right.
I play a little D3 ball, whatever. But why should a coach be able to go wherever he wants to go, but a player can't if he walks into a bad situation? So I am always going to be pro player in that situation. Now, I say this with a little bit of an understanding, having coached even at a high school level. You run from the first sign of adversity, you might end up just keep on running and running and running and never get to situate yourself into a great situation. Adversity brings out the best of a lot of us. Now, I do think for certain positions, look, there's only one quarterback that plays. Guys get hurt, you get your opportunity. But I think, like, if you're a receiver or something like that, and you're having a harder time sniffing the field, like, unless you're really buried like that, and some relationships have gone sour. And there's false promises abound in college football. Guys are always, trying to string kids along and all that. So I get it. I totally get it. I think there's just got to be a balance. Like there shouldn't be a kid shouldn't have to sit out for an entire year just because he wants to transfer, but a coach can go to a different school and coach them right away.
Exactly.
Now I'm totally like, man, let the kid go. Like if I was just a regular student, there's no rule that blocks me as a student to pull out of the school that I don't like. But like because of athletic scholarship, I can't go to a different university if it's a better
redshirt student.
Yeah. So like that, I completely understand. But like it comes like with a little bit of a nod to what Tyrann Mathieu's saying, where look, the grind is going to make you better if you're really if everything is all right, if the coaches are bought in on you, if you can just also, have a little faith and then go, maybe things can, work out for me here if I just stick around and then do the right thing. So,
right. I definitely hear that. And yeah, it definitely is situation based. I do think though, just on a grand scale, that it should be okay for guys to transfer and have that portal available to them. I think it's interesting seeing how, for example, we see right now the Oklahoma to USC shift that's kind of going on with Lincoln Riley now at SC, and a few guys, most notably Caleb Williams, the quarterback, now moving over there with him as well. I think situations like that are a little interesting. I'm not going live because if you're already an established guy within a program, not saying that you shouldn't be able to move, but I just don't know why you would want to.
Well, I mean, in response to that, I would say,
yeah, go ahead.
I don't mind that like a player is able to like follow his coach because I feel like they probably they put time into recruiting Caleb Williams specifically.
Right.
I'm sure they had meetings between him and Lincoln Riley. They had agreements with each other and promises made to one another and that kind of thing. And they found success on the field in that second half of the season with Caleb Williams stepping in when it was thought that Spencer Rattler was going to be that guy.
Right.
So I can understand a player wanting to follow his head coach who brought him to the institution. Because I don't feel like a player, especially after just one season, is like loyal to an institution or needs to be loyal to an institution.
I don't think many players are just in general these days. I think they go where the opportunity is, and all the tradition follows in afterwards.
Yeah, and to pick up on the word you said, opportunity. Well, the opportunity now has never been bigger than it ever has. With the ability for players to maximize profits off their name. Like a Caleb Williams can go, I could be in Norman, Oklahoma, where I can be, the guy in a football town that everybody here is about Oklahoma, where I might be going to LA where they got two of each pro team, two college teams, it's a little busier, but
there's more eyes.
But there's the pedigree, there's the potential, there's the endorsement opportunities that rise. So we opened up Pandora's box for, by giving college athletes the opportunity to maximize revenue off their name. And it's going to make a lot of traditionalists mad. And there's some merit to what makes them a little bit upset. Like, hey, maybe it doesn't, college football for a lot of people felt more quote unquote pure, right?
Yeah.
Organic, right? Like it's like rivalries, guys have, where now you're seeing guys go from UCLA to USC, like it's nothing, So maybe it doesn't feel like the same, like your grandpa's, your uncle's college football, but
right.
Listen, man, like
it's not.
It's not.
Yeah.
The game has changed.
Yeah.
This is our new future. So it's gonna be now up to the adults. Right? I mean, obviously these young kids are adults too, but I'm talking like the people who are establishing programs to go, okay, let me make a culture here to where nobody wants to leave. I mean, I know there's gonna be an opportunity for a kid to leave, fine, but I'm gonna try to sell the kid on, say, hey, we develop pros here. You might be a Mac Jones and only get 1 year to start. But that 1 year, I promise you're going to be able to get an opportunity.
Yeah.
Look at Alabama.
I would say, and maybe that kind of hurts Lincoln Riley's like credibility with players a little bit, just if he's willing to jump at like whatever the best opportunity is. Maybe I'm not going to sign with the USC team, where if he finds a better opportunity, he's on to the next job as well too, as far as recruiting players.
And I think another problem too with college football, like, I mean, we could talk all day about like, okay, it's very lopsided. So, I mean, amongst the top 4 teams, like what good is it to expand the playoff if, if all we're going to do is invite a team to just get beat up by 50 points, right?
Yeah,
but like, I think you have to, if you were to do something like that, like understand like these 5-star kids, these blue chip recruits they don't care about the Meineke Car Care Bowl anymore. They don't care about the insert brand name mayonnaise bowl, They don't care about that stuff anymore. Like they want to go to a place where they can either get developed as a pro and have connections with NFL scouts or win a national championship. And when you limit that to like the usual suspects, it's going to be a consolidation of top talent at those the same people. So I think you expand it. You give it a little bit of time. You go, okay, this is part of the process. But then maybe a coach who is like out of Boise State can say, hey, well, we're going to get an automatic bid in the playoffs and we're going to make something special here at Boise State. And you're going to want to come here. And you can have more of a Gonzaga type of story where Gonzaga was once upon a time a team that was just getting in the dance, and then they would hope to play UCLA and give them their best game. Now they're favored against UCLA. Now they're the top dog, They're like the second or third best team in the country right now behind I haven't checked most recent standings, but that's kind of how it is. So like college football should have those opportunities, and I think it'd only help. You get boosters behind and go, hey, I'm a Boise State guy. I'm a rich Boise State guy. Let me try to make Boise State an it school.
Yeah, culture definitely something that people need to continue to prioritize. I've kind of witnessed that somewhat firsthand as my brother to the University of Nevada right now. I want to give him a round of applause real quick. Just went up there and they've established a real good culture there and have a real good recruiting class that are entering right now. So looking forward to see what goes on with them and the Wolfpack there. So yeah. When schools prioritize that, they start bringing in talent and that talent stays and just guys want to be there. So hopefully more schools follow suit and we'll see how things play out in the transfer portal going forward. So yeah, very fun things going on in college and NFL. And something that a word that caught my attention was tradition, because we see that being questioned in a few places beyond basketball, beyond football right now as well. We see that in something that you're very familiar with, boxing. Also, at least from afar, we kind of see it. At least me and Alec just see things. For example, Jake Paul and all the things that are going on with him. What do you think, as someone that's deeper into boxing than we are? How you feel about the whole Jake Paul and all the antics that he has brought around the sport recently?
Listen, man, I get asked this question a lot from a lot of my friends, and they always say, "Man, don't you think Jake Paul is bad for boxing?" And I would say, well, let me tell you this. Like they think like, oh, isn't it a sad state of boxing when Jake Paul is one of the the biggest pay-per-view draws? Then I counter them with this. I would say if you were to go back to the 1980s and you had Michael Jackson and Prince had beef, like do people want to see them play one-on-one basketball? We've seen all the stuff about Prince playing basketball. I would say
Prince
that
Prince might go to work.
But look, as human beings, throughout the history of time, we've had an intrinsic desire to see people fight.
Yeah, get the fisticuffs out. Yeah,
and so that's been from gladiators. That's been through all the time, right? So, and it has never really mattered, right? Like you could be at a bar and it's two girls fighting each other, right? Or it's two sloppy drunk dudes at a bar fighting each other, right? It doesn't matter. The talent has never really matters as much. It's just kind of captivated us, right? And so when you get somebody with a big following like a Jake Paul who knows how to market himself, and he's taking the shades of the McGregor playbook and shades of the Floyd playbook, right? And has, created this little circus. Like, look, this is the fight game is where that kind of stuff can happen. So I felt like, if Drake and Chris Brown were to have had beef, they would have gotten the ring. They would have sold pay-per-views too, and it would have just attracted a different audience. It to me has no indication on the health of the sport, which I mean it's a very fragmented sport right now. But I think what Jake Paul is actually doing with Amanda Serrano, who he's promoting, she's one of the top female boxers, and now she's got a 7-figure payday coming up against Katie Taylor. She's going to headline Madison Square Garden like April 30th or something like that, which I think is a great opportunity to, shed some light on the females who are getting it on in the ring too, as well. So like those types of things, like I can live with a little bit of the extraness if like it's going to be like, hey, he's actually giving back to the sport in some ways too. Like everyone's always going to go get their dollar, and I'm not going to hate, but he's giving back to the sport. So I can appreciate that.
Got you. And with him doing that while also getting back to the sport, in regards to him in the ring, do you want to see him fight some real boxers, or you want to see him continue?
That's what I want to see. That's all.
Athletes or
like,
other guys.
Boxer. Stop targeting these MMA guys.
No, yeah, for sure. Like
him, like.
Yeah, I would like to see him. I think the cruiserweight division, which is where he fights at, like there's like nobody in there. So like I feel like a dream would be for like him to try to get a fight like that. But dude, any top level boxer, he hasn't had enough fights. So like one of the things I say is, for the people who are saying, yeah, he should fight a real boxer, he definitely should. But like let's be real with ourselves here. Jake Paul did not have an amateur boxing career.
Correct.
So really, what we're looking at is. What is it? Was he 4-0 or something like that, or 5-0? Something like he's coming up on his 6th fight. I want some people to go back and look at who Canelo Alvarez fought in his 6th ever fight. I want people to go back and take a look at, and these people don't have Wikipedia pages. Like they're so and Floyd also was an amateur. He was a decorated amateur. He was an Olympian. You got Canelo, who had some time in the amateurs. He turned pro at 16, but like. It's very strange. It's very uncommon for somebody in their 5th or 6th fight to be headlining pay-per-views. Usually those guys are having their 6th fight somewhere in a Native American casino somewhere, right? Somewhere like, or in Mexico. If you're not 18 years old and you're too young to be pro in the United States, you go to Mexico and you fight in some restaurants against guys who are, you're just trying to get rounds in, right? Like that's where Jake Paul, if he was going the traditional pro route, he'd be doing, but he's at the type of point in his life where he's like, I'm selling pay-per-views, and is he going to sell pay-per-views fighting some no-name? No, like if he's going to sell pay-per-views by fighting somebody who's got, clout, and he's in this very weird predicament where there's not that many people who are in a similar situation, where Tommy Fury, who is a boxer, granted his opposition does not have the greatest record either, he pulled out of the fight, so that's why we got the Woodley rematch.
Right.
So to me, I think it's like, well, yeah, he should fight a real boxer, but like I also implore you to take a look at who some of the best boxers in their 6th or 5th ever fight, who they were facing as well. So yeah, fight somebody, more your own size. Don't fight Nate Robinson ever again. I don't ever want to see that ever again. So, but yeah, like it's so strange. So like I would like to see, people maybe, closer to his size. But it's tough matchmaking for him right now.
Yeah, I mean, his record means nothing to me. His record means nothing to me right now because of who he's fought.
Nobody. Yeah, no.
Ben Askren looked like out of shape, and he was just there for the payday. Like we said, Nate Robinson, like that was like a novelty thing because that was the first fight, and we were all like, oh, like he can't beat an athlete up. And Nate Robinson,
entertainment, right?
The smallest NBA player we got. Let's send him against Big Jake Paul.
So they got some. So now, I mean, Le'Veon Bell was throwing his name in the ring before he got signed with
I don't want to
Tampa
see
Bay.
that either.
Right? No.
Yeah, but see, like that's where it's like, man, what are we doing? Are we going backwards at this point? Like nobody really knows at this point. Because here's the thing: Jake Paul is actually getting good sparring in with some legitimate boxers. I mean, granted, sparring is not going to be, some guys are working on different things. Like, okay, I got Jake in there. I'm levels above him. If I'm like a super middleweight or a light heavyweight that's lighter than him, I'm just going to work a body attack, or I'm just going to work jabs. I'm just going to work on my left hook counters, So he's getting good sparring, and he's got a great team of people. He's paying that money. He's taking it seriously, which is why I think people are starting to show him a little more respect. But the opposition has got to rise. But it's a weird thing of like selling pay-per-views, but finding the right opponents. It's not going to ever materialize like that. So it's just a matter of like, okay, is the end goal a circus fight with Canelo where he gets embarrassingly knocked out and then it's all over? But congratulations to the guy who started off on Vine with his brother and he fought the best boxer in the game. Like what,
Yeah.
I guess you're kind of answering my question then, but me and Alec kind of had this small debate a while ago. If he does actually start fighting real boxers, will a loss ruin his hype?
But I don't think he gives a shit. I mean,
that's what I was thinking.
Fight, so
he's like defying all the odds right now to me. So like, I mean, I'm not a it's everyday bro Jake Paul subscriber fan kind of guy, but I think like it's kind of crazy to go, this guy's doing this. He's on Showtime. Like, Showtime is like Floyd and Gervonta and all these like Mike Tyson over the years, and then Jake Paul headlining pay-per-views. Like what?
Right. It's amazing to see. So guy at least giving him respect on in that regard, and we'll see what he does next. But moving on to the real side, however you want to describe it. Who are some boxers we should actually be paying attention to right now?
Man, I would say one guy I feel like everybody should be knowing about soon, if they don't already know, Shakur Stevenson. He's a J Prince investment, right? And we've seen J Prince investments, like yeah, that's all you got to say, right? So you got J Prince pushing you. You got some dogs behind you. So he doesn't get hit with jabs. He's a southpaw. Like all these young guys, they've always, they've idled Floyd. You got a Devin Haney, who's a good young fighter. Floyd he spent time in the gym with Floyd. So he wants to be like Floyd. Like he's got the money on Instagram, kind of copying that lane, right?
Mm-hmm.
Of all those guys that, been wanting to be like, I mean, Adrian Broner, right? Like he was a 3-division champion by 23. He had that kind of potential. But I mean, now he's more known as a meme, but, like got climbed up too far in weight, got humbled by Maidana. And, but that it happens, but, I think, Shakur Stevenson to me, obviously him and Gervonta, I feel like those guys, when they end up getting it on, it'll be a huge fight. Like Jay Prince is building up for that fight for Shakur at 130 pounds right now, climbed to 135, where him and, Gervonta could, get it on with Ryan Garcia, who's got a big following of a lot of teenage girls and, people like, like he's a popular kid, and he's got quick hands.
He's actually good. My apologies. Do you say, is he actually solid, Garcia?
Man, he can fight. He leaves his chin up high in the air, so he's a little bit flawed defensively, but he is working with Canelo's trainer. So, like those things, like there's a lot to work with because he's got really fast hands. I would just say the most exciting part about boxing right now is between 130 to 147 pounds, where you got young guys like Shakur Stevenson, who he's got a fight on April 30th as well. Jay Prince investment. You got guys like going to his fights, like it'll be big time. Tank. Gervonta, at welterweight, Jaron Ennis from Philly. He's undefeated. He's a talented kid, and I think everyone's been pushing for Terrence Crawford and Errol Spence to get in the ring and have a mega fight. But I think Jaron Ennis, his nickname is Boots. I think he's up next, and I mean, man, like heavyweights, man, like that always sells. And I think one of the things about heavyweight boxing over the years is, back in the days, it paid bigger to be a heavyweight boxer. So the most athletic big men, like you had your Muhammad Ali's, who was like 215. He wouldn't necessarily be like that much of a heavyweight today.
Right.
But those guys were boxing. But now, like the most athletic freak guys of that size are the Myles Garretts, who are like, let me go play defensive end.
Right.
You know, or let me go play power forward. Right. So like it kind of took a shift once the money started to come into the football in the NBA. Here stateside, at least, those big guys were going to play those sports instead, and it became very dominated by the UK and in Europe, Eastern Europe, where guys are like, I'm not like it's pretty much soccer, maybe rugby, but like these guys who are big, freakishly strong, they're fighters. So that's when the Klitschko era took over, and then like it went away from the the Lennox Lewis, the Riddick Bowe, the Mike Tysons of the 90s, right? And we've kind of lost the American heavyweights. But then Deontay Wilder brought that back. Was 3 exciting fights with Tyson Fury. I mean, the third one was fantastic. One of the best fights you'll ever see. The knockdown, the sheer, like you thought the guy was out, then he's back up. I think, and then another Jay Prince investment too would be Jared Anderson, who I think actually has a shot to be one of the next American heavyweights, one of the best things that we've got.
Okay. Nice. So
I got one last question, boxing wise. I was just thinking about it as we were talking. Do you feel like, I know it's a nature of the beast, but do you feel like boxing and UFC fighting in general being pay-per-view kind of hurts its viewership, like as a sport, and like the ability to get new fans of the sport?
Absolutely. It's like a going out of business style event every single time, where you're like, let me just maximize, and cannibalize all of what I can. And I give it to the fighters. It's the fight game. You could be, seriously hurt in a second. So you make your money, do all that, but 100% the shift towards pay-per-view priced out a lot of people. I mean, you got people who will stream events now. It's so easy. Yeah. So I think eyeballs are coming back because people see how easy it is to stream a fight.
Right.
I'm not saying I do that, but I'm not saying I don't do that, But,
understood.
Hey, I'm just saying it's out there and it's available.
Right.
He's doing it, but look, it 100%. I would agree. I think it's always healthier when you get like an ESPN showing fights on free to air ESPN on cable, or like a Fox showing that, or even if some people pay for Showtime or HBO. Like HBO bowed out of boxing, so it kind of left Showtime to carry the void in that regard. So I mean, it's just been the more pay-per-views we got, just people are gonna go, I can pass. I'll check the highlights on YouTube, or so it's changed a lot.
Especially if I don't already know the fighters, like I'm not gonna put this investment in, even if it's like the greatest matchup. If I've never heard of these guys, like I'm not gonna pay $100 or $80.
No, $75. Yeah, no, that's tough.
Right to Reddit.
Or you free 99. If you can find it for free 99, then you go do that. So, or you go to like a Buffalo Wild Wings or something like that. So it hurts the pay-per-view model. They've been really leaning on the hardcores to support that. I think they're the ones that are paying for it big time. But the market always wins over at the end.
Got you. So I'm gonna be tuned in a little bit more to boxing going forward. You mentioned a lot of names that I took down just now, and gonna be looking forward to fights that you say are coming up and all of that. So fun things ahead in boxing, fun things ahead in football as we discussed. And right now, actually, we're gonna take a quick pause and then come back and discuss all the NBA things and beyond, because there's a whole lot to talk about. Jake, you got your Laker jacket on right now.
Definitely
got a whole lot to talk about with them,
not a game tonight.
Right, and a whole lot going on coming up soon with them. So, great things in boxing, great things in the NBA. Looking forward to it all. Thank you, Jake, for sharing all your knowledge on that and lending your opinion on the things we discussed. And thank you just for being here as well. We appreciate you, and we're definitely going to have you add on to our NBA stuff that's on the way as well. So that's part one of the show. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Again, follow us on IG and TikTok at Section.300. Follow us on Twitter at Section Sports. A lot of good clips going up on there, good conversation and all of that. Like, rate, review, subscribe, all of that to our podcast streaming services and on YouTube for those watching here. Appreciate you guys. And we'll see you guys again very soon. Thank you guys for tuning in. Peace.
It was